Thank you for joining this webinar hosted by TNTP and Pennsylvania System for School Improvement. This webinar is designed to focus on building school leader capacity for instructional leadership in remote learning environments. A little bit about TNTP. We are an organization that has worked alongside teachers, principals, and school system leaders to help more students get a worthwhile education since 1997. We're a national nonprofit founded by teachers. We help schools put all the elements of great teaching to work in their classrooms so that more students graduate ready for success in college, career, and life. During this webinar, you will have the opportunity to reflect on how your instructional leadership has adapted and needs to adapt to build and sustain a strong remote learning climate. You will articulate refreshed school priorities to build and sustain a strong remote learning climate during this school year, and determine a few high-leveraged, time-bound next steps to support teachers with improving their practice and meeting student learning needs. Preparing students and teachers for success during this school year requires principals who are well able to understand, identify, and support effective teaching in remote learning environments. Research consistently points to the positive impact of effective observation and feedback cycles as a key lever to improve teaching and learning. While the conditions of remote learning environments are new this year due to COVID, executing observation and feedback cycles continues to serve as a high leverage method for developing teachers and is totally feasible in a virtual setting. Let's get started by reflecting on the 3 points listed on the screen. Have you communicated a vision for effective teaching and learning in a remote or blended environment? Are you on track to achieve this vision? How do you know? Do instructional leaders in your school building informally observe teaching and provide feedback one-on-one to teachers each week? During this webinar, we will specifically focus on vision for remote instruction, as well as virtual instructional coaching as key levers to drive teacher improvement. At TNTP, our theory of action on school leadership is articulated in this graphic. As a principal or other school building leader, you impact student learning by ensuring teachers are able to deliver high quality, rigorous instruction that is aligned to grade level standards. The COVID era of remote learning has not changed this theory. How you drive teacher improvement may look slightly different, but this theory remains true. Our theory of leadership is grounded in what the research tells us about how effective leaders support student success. Effective instructional leadership is characterized by close collaboration with teachers around content, instruction, and assessment. Schools with strong learning climates are more likely to have stronger instruction and student outcomes. And compared to other instructional supports, coaching has been found to be the most helpful with improving student learning. We define instructional leadership as a collection of mindsets, habits, systems, and skills that together improve the quality of teaching and student learning. In this chart, you can see an example of how a mindset in person pre-COVID might consist of modeling high expectations for student engagement and learning. And in a remote environment, the question you ask yourself is, how will you invest students, teachers, and families in your vision for learning in a remote or hybrid model? Take a moment to look at the content in this chart and reflect on how your instructional leadership has adapted and how it still needs to adapt to build and sustain a strong remote learning climate during this school year. You may consider pausing the video at this point and resuming when you are ready to continue with the webinar. We know from our research report titled Greenhouse Schools that these three elements build strong instructional culture: a clear vision for success, shared by others, and supported by leadership. When teachers in a school strongly agree that these statements are consistently true for their school, there is a direct correlation to high student achievement. How would teachers respond to these survey items right now if asked? And how do you know? How are you checking in with teachers to assess how they're experiencing support? Which of these survey items would you prioritize as the highest leverage to build and sustain a strong remote learning climate during the remainder of this school year? Would it be to clarify your vision and expectations for remote teaching and learning? To invest teachers in this vision? Or maybe to ensure that teachers receive adequate support to realize this vision in their classroom? Coming up next, you will spend some time reviewing a few TNTP resources that will help you refresh your instructional priorities for the remainder of this school year. Maybe that's clarifying your vision and expectations for remote teaching, or clarifying your systems and structures to deliver high quality feedback to teachers in a virtual setting. The first resource to review is TNTP's Core Teaching Rubric and its newly published Distance Learning Companion. The intention here is not for you to adopt the core rubric necessarily, but to see how a pre-COVID vision for effective teaching and learning can adapt to remote conditions. This may help you reflect more imaginatively about what to prioritize during the remainder of this school year to best support teacher growth and impact on student learning. You can use the links provided on this slide to access the resources. So please take some time now to review the two resources, TNTP's Core Teaching Rubric, and the second resource, the Core Rubric's Distance Learning Companion, and use the reflection questions on this slide to guide your process. How could TNTP's Core Teaching Rubric support you in clarifying a vision for effective teaching and learning? What do you notice about this rubric? How is it organized? How does the focus on student actions impact the way you observe a classroom? How is this vision similar and/or different from what you currently have in place at your school? How does this vision support remote teaching and learning? And once you've had a chance to review the Core Teaching Rubric, take a moment to review its companion and ask yourself, how might this distance learning companion improve the quality of feedback teachers in your school receive? In what way does this companion support remote teaching and learning? Please press pause on this video and restart when you are ready to continue with the webinar. The Core Teaching Rubric is open source and available at tntp.org using the website linked on this slide. You can find a plethora of resources to support you in using this tool if you choose. TNTP has been coaching teachers and leaders virtually for many years. We codified some of our best practices and learning that we will share with you now. Take a look at TNTP's tips for virtual coaching and consider what new systems and practices you will leverage to conduct effective observation and feedback cycles with teachers. Use the reflection questions to guide you as you review the resource and consider how it may help you improve teacher practice in a remote setting. Press pause on the video and restart when you are ready to continue with the webinar. Now that you've had a chance to review a couple of resources, in one sentence, write your highest leverage, refreshed instructional priority to build and sustain a strong remote learning climate during the remainder of this school year. The purpose of one sentence here is to really hone in on the essence of your priority, to be super clear so that your action will be purposeful and deliberate and will appeal to your stakeholders. Again, you can press pause until you have written the sentence that best articulates your highest leverage refreshed priority. We know that highly effective school leaders plan for their own learning and are deliberate in setting time-bound goals. So let's do that now. Consider your refreshed instructional priority and determine a few high-leverage, time-bound action steps that you can take in the coming weeks to drive towards this priority. The priority of improving teacher practice and student learning in a remote context. There are a few samples shared on this slide to get you thinking. For example, by November 20th, I will meet with my instructional leadership team to create a strategy to systematize informal virtual observation and feedback cycles with teacher. Or by November 20th, I will begin weekly informal observation and feedback cycles with at least 5 teachers. In addition to writing time-bound action steps, it's worth considering who will help hold you accountable to follow through with this action. Is there someone you could share these with now, even if still in draft form? And ask them to check back in on you in a week or so to see how it's going. In addition to who can hold you accountable, where will these action steps live so that they are visible to you? Sticky notes are great if that's your style, or maybe plug them into your weekly planner or calendar so that they stay forefront of your mind. Again, please press pause as you take the time to write out your action steps. Thank you for taking the time to prioritize your own learning and reflection as a school leader. This is a critical component to improve teacher practice and student learning. If you have any questions or would like additional support, please do connect with us.